We have breaking news here on Steelers Talk as the Pittsburgh Steelers have traded away former first-round pick back in just 2 seasons ago, Kenny Pickett, to the Philadelphia Eagles. We called it here on Steelers Talk just a couple of weeks ago. I said if Kenny Pickett would be traded, if like the Steelers got Russell Wilson, if they got Justin Fields and they ended up trading Pickett, I said the Eagles made sense, and we ended up calling that here on Steelers Talk. And today, man, we're going to be talking about this move, what this means for the Pittsburgh Steelers moving forward. Who's going to be the backup quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers next season with Kenny Pickett out of the building? Did Kenny Pickett handle the Russell Wilson news in the correct manner? We're going to be talking about all of this on today's Breaking News Live edition of Steelers Talk. So welcome into the show. Thank you guys so much for all of your support and getting here so early. We already got 560 plus Yinzers in the chat. Producer Coop.
Wow.
Kenny Pickett is no longer a Pittsburgh Steeler.
We were just filming a video that was kind of unrelated to Kenny Pickett, and then this thing happened. So we're like, let's go live immediately. We had to come hang out with the Yinzers and give us our take on this, man.
Because another reason why we had to go live is because at any moment, the Pittsburgh Steelers could have a new quarterback on their team as well, whether that be Justin Fields, whether that be Ryan Tannehill, whether that be somebody else. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what the Steelers do at this position. Now, it does look like Kenny Pickett was the one to kind of say, I want out of here after the Steelers ended up signing Russell Wilson. Obviously, he felt like the team probably slighted him a bit. He probably felt like the team was saying stuff to him like, you're going to be our guy, you're going to be our starter, don't worry about it, all these different things. And by the way, that's what they were telling the media this entire time. And if you believe from this point forward that you can believe anything out of Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan's mouth when it comes to their future plans at any position, well, you just learned a hard lesson here, all right? Because they not only brought in a different quarterback to, quote-unquote, compete with Pickett, they brought in a quarterback to straight up replace him, now sending Kenny Pickett to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are getting Pickett and a 4th-round pick. The Steelers had 2 this year, 120 and 121. They're going to get the first one here, pick number 120. So the Steelers still have a 4th-round pick at 121, but the Steelers move up from 120 to 98th overall, moving them inside the top 100. So they have 3 picks in the top 100 this year. Or 4 picks in the top 100. And I think Omar Khan is cooking right now. Plus, they're getting 2 7th-rounders in the 2025 NFL draft as well. I think given Pickett's value, given the way that he has played to this point in his career, to move up from the 4th round to the 3rd round, essentially going from 2 4th-round picks to 2 3rd-round picks, I think this is a really good move given the value that Kenny Pickett likely had on the open market.
Omar Khan's done it once again, baby.
The con artist strikes again. And listen, I don't want to make this into a shitting on Kenny Pickett party, all right? Because he is a Pitt Panther legend, okay? I think he got put in a terrible situation with Matt Canada for these past 2 seasons.
No doubt.
He is definitely somebody that...
It started on the day he was drafted. He was overdrafted.
He was overdrafted. I said it the day that he was drafted, number 20. As much as I like the kid, as much as I appreciate, he's a decent leader. The guys in the locker room liked him and all these different things. When he got benched for Rudolph last year, he kind of cried about it.
No doubt.
And it seems like when Russell Wilson got brought in here,
kind of cried about it.
And, I understand his feelings, especially if the Steelers were like, yeah, you're our guy, we're not bringing anybody in, and they're like telling him that point blank and they straight up lied to him, then I would kind of understand. But I don't know kind of what Kenny was being told and all these things.
We've got 1,200 people watching. Be sure to hit that thumbs up icon if you haven't already, and get down in the comments.
By the way,
grade that trade.
Click that subscribe button, because if they sign Tyler Boyd, if they make another move, if they trade for Justin Fields, we're going to be right here partying it up with you guys right here on Steelers Talk. So make sure you click that subscribe button. And let me tell you about our sponsor today, the Prize Picks, who has graciously sponsored today's live show. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. Football season is over, but the action on the floor when it comes to NBA and college basketball is just heating up. In fact, it's March Madness. You guys know the deal. Whether it's tournament season or the fight for playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of the year, and you can get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. So how does it work, you ask? Here's how you play. Pick 2 to 6 players, and if they'll go for more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can even win up to 25 times your money on any entry. So let's take a look at my entry today in the NBA. I'm taking the rebounds and assists on Victor Wembanyama on my favorite NBA team, the San Antonio Spurs. I'm going to take the points of the more on Nikola Jokic, and I'm going to take the less on points for Bam Adebayo from the Miami Heat. You can get your picks in today by going to prizepicks.com/CLNS or downloading the Prize Picks app and using our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 with Prize Picks. Takes less than 60 seconds to make your picks, so get started right now. Again, download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. You can pick more or pick less. It's that easy with our friends at Prize Picks. Oh, getting us going is Brandon Nicholson. And he says, little sad, but like everyone says, it's a business, can't act like a child. Facts. I don't want to sit here and, like I said, I don't want to make this into an anti-Kenny Pickett stream because, I do wish him the best of luck. I think he's going to a system there in Philly that fits his skill set pretty nicely. Of course, he's going to be backing up Jalen Hurts, but, you got to feel for the kid because he got kind of shafted with the situation he was put in here in Pittsburgh. But at the end of the day, he didn't play well enough,
and
all right?
I also think it's clear that from all the reporting that he didn't handle this situation the right way.
Yeah, it really seemed like he was really upset. Jerry Dulac said that one of the reasons why he's gone is because of the way that he handled the Russell Wilson news. Now, Russ actually said at his press conference today, we're actually going to be going over my takeaways from Russell's press conference on today's stream, so make sure you stick around for that. He said that he was in communication with Pickett. He actually texted him, and apparently their back and forth was positive and forward is the way that he described it. So I guess behind the scenes, he was like, why are you bringing this guy in? But to his face, he was like, yeah, we're cool, all these different things. But now he's a Philadelphia Eagle. And by the way, we called this, Coop. We called it.
You did call it.
Weeks ago, I said if the Steelers get Justin Fields or Kenny Pickett, or Russell Wilson, which was my two options at the time, then I think he's going to go to Philly. Kenny is. And I was right about that. I think that, Howie Roseman, Omar Khan, very close friends. They know each other, all these different things. It made sense that he was the first call that he made was to his friend Howie Roseman, and the deal ended up getting done. And now Omar Khan just got us another day 2 pick in exchange for Kenny Pickett. I think it's a good deal.
We moved on from both Matt Canada and Kenny Pickett. Now we have Russell Wilson and Artie Smith.
And listen, I told you guys right at the start of the offseason, the number 1 and number 2 main priorities was to get the right OC, because Mike Tomlin's a defensive head coach. You have to get the right offensive play caller, and you need to get the right quarterback. In my opinion, they knocked both out of the park this year. That's my opinion.
Let's go, baby.
Especially Russell Wilson is at the price that you're getting him. It is the best value at the quarterback position in the history of the National Football League, in my opinion. And Arthur Smith, one of the most respected offensive minds, is a perfect match for for Russell Wilson, in my opinion. $5 super chat here from DJS says, do you think getting this third potentially opens up a Fields trade? So they're not going to use that third-round pick on Fields. I will say that right now. You're not going to spend a third-round pick for a backup quarterback. And listen, man, I think the Steelers believe in Russell Wilson relatively long-term. Okay, Russell's only 35. We've seen guys like Tom Brady and Drew Brees and even Aaron Rodgers, get 2 and past 40 and still play really high-level football. And Russell Wilson, his training regimen and his discipline is well documented. So as long as he's still putting up good numbers in the National Football League, he's going to be a starting quarterback in this league, and I really do think in this offense, with the supporting cast around him, I think, yes, he's on a 1-year deal right now, but I think if he has success, he's going to get locked up for at least the next 2 to 3 years, and he could be here in Pittsburgh for 5 to 7 years, whatever the case may be, and he could be the long-term answer here in Pittsburgh if you want to call 5 to 7 years a long-term solution. I just think that the Steelers view themselves as a team that's ready to win now.
Agreed.
With all the talent on the roster. And if you have a quarterback in there that's ready to win Super Bowls now, somebody that has a ton of experience in the playoffs. I mean, they went out and got a playoff caliber and potentially Super Bowl caliber quarterback with the right roster. And they're trying to win now, and they're hoping that Russ can do that for them for the next 5 to 7 years.
I could see Russ being this team's quarterback for the next 5 to 7 years, given how he takes care of his body, given how much he is committed to the craft of playing quarterback.
His body's going to hold up.
That's what I'm saying. I think he could be this team's quarterback, and I think they could have a couple of maybe a little bling-bling in the process.
He says he wants 2 more Lombardis in his career.
No doubt about it.
He wants 2 more of those bling-blings on his finger. Also, I want to talk about Fields here because he does ask about Fields specifically. If you're trading for Fields, I think it's probably for like a 6th-round pick or a 5th-round pick because he's your backup. And I do think the Steelers believe in Russell Wilson potentially for the long term here. Now, they gave him a prove-it deal, that 1-year prove-it deal this year to kind of let him kind of show what he can do in this offense. And Justin Fields would be a nice plan B, but I do think if they trade for Justin Fields, it's as Russell Wilson's backup, and that's the plan moving forward until Russell Wilson loses the job. And another thing that I'm worried about is that if you trade for Justin Fields, Coop, there's going to be another war among the fans. There's going to be
for sure.
There's going to be people saying, I'm on Team Russ, and then there's going to be people saying, I'm on Team Fields. And it's just, I mean, goodness gracious, we just got done with the Kenny Pickett war in the fan base, right? It's probably still not over, okay? Like, I don't want to add another war among this fan base. I want to rally behind one quarterback and one singular guy. And by the way, I want the locker room to do that as well. I
agree.
I don't want people in the Steelers locker room being like, I want Russ or I want Fields, but if you get him for a 6th-round pick,
you got to do it.
And Fields knows he is the backup and he has no shot at getting the job.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
in.
Mike Tomlin clearly loves him as a backup option. He's a playmaker. He's good with his legs. You could do a lot worse than Justin Fields as your backup quarterback. But right now, I'd say the favorite to be the backup quarterback for this team next year is Ryan Tannehill. He had the best years of his career in this offense. You know for a fact he can operate it effectively. And I think that he is the best option for the Pittsburgh Steelers as the backup quarterback next year. That's just me, though. He'll come cheap as well. You don't have to pick up a 5th-year option or anything like that. So I think Ryan Tannehill, maybe cheap 2-year contract as a backup. I would take that.
Be sure to hit that thumbs up icon first. We have 1,800 people watching. Like the video if you love what you're seeing from our Pittsburgh Steelers. They're doing it all this offseason. Butts Berry. Guess what we've got here, my friend?
Gold Club member Anthony Fuller. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. He says Steelers signed Sperry at QB1.
You got the height.
I got the height. I don't
know if you have the arm talent.
The first tackle I'm taking,
it's over.
Broken bones galore. All right, I will literally shatter. I'll shatter like a glass if I play in an NFL football field, man. But I appreciate you, Anthony Fuller. I'm more than happy to let Russ take the job from me.
Russ can be QB1.
He can be QB1. He can lead this team to a Super Bowl. I'll be more than happy to sit behind a camera here and watch him do it. $10 super chat from Glenn James. Says, I do not want Tyler Boyd. He's slow and not a 1 or a 2. Has there ever been a time that a team's QB room from the year before was fully cleaned out? What would it take to get a Odunze? So I think it's going to take 2 things for them to trade up for Rome Odunze because they will have to trade up for him.
Yes.
He's going to have to fall past the top 10.
Yeah, he'll have to fall past into the teens.
Because I think the price that the Steelers would have to pay to move up inside the top 10 is going to be too rich for them, especially with how many good receivers there are in the draft, man. There's a lot of good fits for what the Steelers are looking for. But listen, man, if he gets to pick 13, 14, 15 somehow, and you can move up with just that additional 3rd-round pick you just got in the pick, then you consider it because he is special. But I don't know if that's a realistic possibility. I'd say Brian Thomas Jr. is really a name to be watching out at number 20, Coop, because he's big, he's extremely fast. I think he had one of the best. I think he was 2nd in the entire class in 10-yard split at the 40-yard dash. Only guy that was faster was Xavier Worthy in the 10-yard split. This guy is 6'4", 210 pounds. This guy is massive, and he's getting up to that top speed extremely quickly. That's exactly with the type of skill set that Arthur Smith wants, because he's a big run blocker, and it's the skill set that fits with Russell Wilson because he's a downfield threat. So I think that Brian Thomas Jr. is a perfect fit. When it comes to Tyler Boyd, he's not going to be signed as a 1 or a 2.
He'd be a 3.
He'd be a 3. He'd be brought in as like the slot receiver, to be brought in as kind of the crafty route runner in the slot, good run blocker, so he fits what Arthur Smith wants to do. And then they would draft a receiver early to play on the other outside position next to George Pickens. Or on the other side of George Pickens.
Brian Thomas, and Tyler Boyd would be crazy.
I would like that, all right? Tyler Boyd, no, he's not a burner, all right? But if you sign him, you're not paying him to be a burner, all right? You're paying him to be a good run blocker, somebody that's a crafty route runner, and somebody that's decent after the catch. All those things are accurate descriptions of Tyler Boyd, okay? Like, he's a bigger guy, he's very reliable hands, all these different things. I think he could be what we thought Allen Robinson was supposed to be last year, kind of bigger slot guy, not super fast, but can get open. I think Tyler Boyd still has that in the tank, and if you can get him for a team-friendly deal, and I could certainly see them doing that, I think Tyler Boyd is certainly an option for the Steelers as wide receiver 3 for the next year or so. $10 super chat from Gold Club member Andrew Arnold. Says, great trade, even though I like Kenny. Now, what does this do to our cap space with contract obligations? Great content as always. Let's go Steelers. So it actually doesn't affect it all that much.
No, the Steelers incur a dead cap hit somewhere around $3 million.
Just over $3.7 million in dead cap by trading Pickett. So you're not losing money. I mean, you were going to pay him anyway, but when you add the backup quarterback, essentially you're losing money in terms of the overall cap by making this trade. But you can still restructure. You still have cap space available right now. So it's not like it completely buries the Steelers or anything like that, okay? So, yes, you have to take on $3.7 in dead cap. You only save about, I think it's just less than $200,000. So it's pretty much nothing in terms of cap savings. But
it just seems like they needed to get Kenny out of the building.
Well, it sounds like he was demanding his way out.
More or less,
essentially, like the way Jerry Dulac put it. You know what? I'll actually read what he said directly. I'll put.
And we do know it's Jerry Dulac, and we know.
And we understand that's Dulac, and he's always wrong, and all these different things. But this is what he said: the Steelers made the move to trade away Pickett because of the way Pickett was poorly handling the arrival of Russell Wilson, according to sources. That came on the heels of Pickett's behavior last season when he refused to dress as the emergency third quarterback in Seattle in Week 17. So, I mean, this has been a pattern for Kenny, and I certainly understand why he's upset. I mean, like, he was a first-round draft pick, okay? Like, he was supposed to be the guy here in Pittsburgh, and I'm sure the Steelers were telling him, you're our guy. And then all of a sudden, like, Russell Wilson becomes available for 1.2, and that's essentially an offer the Steelers can't refuse.
Absolutely.
And they bring him in, and Pickett is like, what the hell, man? You know, like, what are we doing? And, you know, after that happened, he kind of felt like he was lied to or he was betrayed by the Steelers. And it seems like he kind of had a little bit of a hissy fit, the way that Jerry Dulac puts it. I can't say I don't understand where Pickett's coming from, because I do. But, you know, is there a more professional way to handle it? Perhaps.
All right, I got to make a social real quick, and then we'll get into our cut here.
Are you going to make the Dulac social?
No, there's another one that I want to make, and I'll show it to you.
All right, cool. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon right now. We're going to get into the breaking news segment here. We're going to be breaking down the compensation, what that means for the Steelers moving forward, potential replacement options, who's going to be the backup quarterback for the Steelers next year. We'll get to that here in about 2 or 3 minutes while Coop makes that graphic for us here. But Kenny Pickett on his way to Philadelphia, still sticking in Pennsylvania here, but he will be Jalen Hurts' backup next year for the Eagles in the NFC instead of Russell Wilson's backup here in Pittsburgh. And honestly, Coop, if I was Kenny Pickett and I was thinking this thing through, I would think I would have a better chance of playing with the Pittsburgh Steelers next year. I mean,
yeah, probably.
Hurts Jalen Hurts is already locked up long term there.
He's their franchise QB.
The only way Pickett plays next year is if Hurts gets injured. Whereas here in Pittsburgh, if you would have stuck it out, and Russell Wilson was this experiment doesn't work, and he stinks or whatever, which I don't think will be the case, but it's a possibility. If Russell Wilson stinks, he only has a $1.2 million contract on a 1-year deal. So if the Steelers are out of playoff contention, they could just put Pickett in there and he would have one more shot to prove himself.
Absolutely.
So, I don't think Pickett is in a better spot now than where he was this morning. I think he's in a worse spot. I think now, he is officially designated an NFL bust because he's not going to have that shot to prove himself in year 3, which sucks for him. It really does. So, I think that maybe he could have handled this in a better way. But another thing too, and another thing that I kind of understand about Pickett here is that he doesn't want to be a backup in the same room where he used to be the starter, in the same locker room where he used to be the leader of this team. He doesn't want to take a back seat in the same place where he used to be a starter. And I certainly understand that. But if I were Kenny Pickett, I would kind of suck that part of the job up. Pause.
Major
pause. But I would suck that up because I would have a better chance to play in Pittsburgh than essentially anywhere else.
All right. This is from senior NFL insider Charles Robinson. Oh, baby.
Says Eagles address their need for an exceptional backup, trading for Kenny Pickett. It leaves a hole in the Steelers QB depth chart. Russell Wilson is on a 1-year deal with no backup. Steelers were one of the teams that thought highly of Bears quarterback Justin Fields. The math is mathin', and it is mathin', okay? Because we know how Mike Tomlin feels about Justin Fields. He loves him, all right? He loves the skill set. And, when you look at the rushing ability and the playmaking ability and the deep throw accuracy, all these different things, as a backup option, I like Justin Fields. But we talked about the reasons why I'm a little bit skeptical of it, Coop. And those reasons are, dividing the locker room and dividing the fan base.
Yeah, no doubt. That's definitely some things to consider when it comes to Justin Fields. But if his market shrinks and it only costs a 6th-round pick to go get him, you might just do it.
But another thing here, too, Coop, is that if you get him as your backup, you're not picking up the 5th-year option.
True.
So, you have 2 quarterbacks on 1-year deals. If Russ stinks it up, you give Fields a shot at the end of the year to prove himself. And it's essentially the same setup as it was with Pickett. And if Fields looks like he's pretty damn good, then you roll forward with him as your quarterback in the future. And it's absolutely possible, by the way, if they trade for Justin Fields, both of them stink. They're in position to draft a quarterback next year or the year or the next year, whatever the case may be. And they end up doing that. And they end up, neither of these guys are the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. Things are officially interesting for the Pittsburgh Steelers at the quarterback position when last year it was anything but. All right, so I'm excited to see what happens. Personally, I think Ryan Tannehill is going to be the move here. I think within the next 2 days or so, Ryan Tannehill will be a Steeler. I just can't say that. I just can't get rid of the possibility of Justin Fields, though, because it is there.
Until it is impossible, it is possible.
It's just, the thing that I don't want is I don't want to be fighting with people on Twitter about Justin Fields versus Russell Wilson, where there's clearly going to be people taking sides. There's clearly going to be people on Team Russ versus Team Justin. And I'd rather this fan base just get behind one guy this year. I think if you sign Ryan Tannehill, you can do that with Russell Wilson while still bringing in somebody that can operate the offense if Russ, God forbid, gets hurt next year.
All right. Are you ready?
All right. Let's get into it right now. Keep those super chats flowing. We'll stay live as long as the super chats keep coming in. But for now, let's get into the breaking news. Cut. Kenny Pickett sent to the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's talk about it right now on the show. The Pittsburgh Steelers have traded quarterback Kenny Pickett to the Philadelphia Eagles for a pick swap, along with a couple of late-round picks in 2025. Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and today we're going to be talking about Kenny Pickett, this trade, what this means for the Steelers heading into the draft as they improve their draft position, and what it means for the Steelers quarterback position of the future, because once again, we're down to one quarterback on the roster. So make sure you guys do me a favor right now. Click that subscribe button, because whenever they make a move for a quarterback, whether that be Justin Fields or Ryan Tannehill or who knows, a John Wayne Booty or something, whatever the case may be, all right, whatever quarterback they bring in, we're going to have a breaking news video for you guys. If they bring in Tyler Boyd, if they bring in anybody else on the free agent market, we have breaking news coverage for you guys. So make sure you click that subscribe button right now. And let's get into this, man. This one surprised me. It really did, because I thought the plan was to keep Kenny Pickett as a backup to Russell Wilson. And if Russell Wilson stunk and they were out of playoff contention, whatever, it's a one-year contract. They don't have to play him. They owe him nothing. Just play Kenny Pickett at the end of the year and give him one more chance to prove himself. But that's not what they're doing here. Apparently, Kenny Pickett wanted out of Pittsburgh once he found out Russell Wilson was coming to town, and the Steelers obliged. They're giving up a fourth-round pick, number 120, and Kenny Pickett. And in exchange, they are upgrading that fourth-round pick to a third-round pick, moving up quite a few spots here to number 98 in the third round. And then they're also adding two 2025 seventh-round picks. And actually, guys, we predicted this here on Steelers Talk weeks ago. All right, this was my Pickett trade idea at the time. I said for a fifth-round pick, you could maybe get Kenny Pickett, all right? But Omar Khan even won up me here on the channel here, getting an additional day 2 pick here, going from round 4 to round 3. I thought that was a really brilliant move by the Khan artist here, and that's actually why you click that subscribe button, man, because we nailed Russell Wilson a full month before he signed with the Steelers, and now we have nailed the Kenny Pickett trade. If you want the most extensive, in-depth, and correct Steelers coverage anywhere else on YouTube or on social media, it's right here on Steelers Talk. So make sure you click that subscribe button. And now, do me a favor. Get down there in the comments section. Grade this move. A, B, C, D, or F. Do you like this trade? Do you not like this trade? Let me know down there in the comments section for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question with a grade of the Kenny Pickett trade. So now let's get into this a little bit more here, where I do think that Kenny Pickett is somebody that got really shafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers here in his career. I think that pairing up with Matt Canada was really a recipe for disaster. I predicted that the day he was drafted, and I've been saying that for the last 2 years, and I do think the Steelers are making the right call. So let's get into our sponsor today here at Prize Picks before we go over Kenny Pickett's stats and what's for the future here in Pittsburgh at the quarterback position. But go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS, or download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Football season is over, but the action on the floor when it comes to college and NBA basketball is just heating up. It is March after all, and we all know how much we love March Madness. So whether it's tournament season or the fight for playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of the year. So get on the excitement with our friends at Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. With quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types is what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the U.S. So how does it work, you ask? Here's how you play. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they'll go for more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can even win up to 25 times your money on any entry. So here's my entry for today's action in the NBA. I'm going to take the more when it comes to the rebounds plus assists for Victor Wembanyama. I mean, if you're that tall, you should be able to get quite a few rebounds tonight. I'm going to take the more on Nikola Jokic's points at 25.5. Really good player there. And then I'm going to take the less on Bam Adebayo's points there with the Miami Heat tonight. You can get your picks in right now by downloading the Prize Picks app and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. With Prize Picks, it takes less than 60 seconds to make your picks, so get started right now before the action tips off tonight. Again, download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. You can pick more or you can pick less. It's that easy with our friends at Prize Picks. So for me, guys, it sounds like Kenny Pickett wanted out here. Okay, so the reports coming out, especially from Jerry Dulac, are indicating that that Kenny Pickett was not happy that the Steelers brought in Russell Wilson and pretty much immediately demanded a trade out of Pittsburgh, and he wanted a fresh start elsewhere. And part of me thinks, I understand that. The team was probably telling him he was going to be the starting quarterback next year, and all of a sudden they bring in a new quarterback. He probably feels slighted. He probably feels betrayed a little bit. All these different things. So on one hand, I get it. And then on the other hand, I do think that maybe he could have handled it in maybe a more professional way. I don't know. But it sounds like Pickett wanted out. And I do actually think the Steelers wanted him on the team this year as Russell Wilson's backup and maybe even their long-term starter, depending on how Russell Wilson ends up playing this year. But at the end of the day here, the Steelers are going to be taking on a little bit of a dead cap hit with Kenny Pickett. They still pretty much have to pay him the same amount on their cap now that he's off the team than if he was on the team. $3.7 million and a little bit in change here for 2024 is what the dead cap hit's going to be, and they're going to save like just over $150,000 in cap space with this move, which really is nothing in terms of NFL money. So you take a look at Kenny Pickett's numbers from last season, and obviously it's not the season that you would have liked to see in the second year. I mean, this was the year where he was supposed to blossom into the franchise quarterback we all hoped and thought that he could be, especially in the preseason. He was like the preseason MVP. I guess that goes to show you that the preseason literally means nothing because he went out and was just not very good last year, guys. Let's just call it for what it is. You can blame the offensive structure if you want. You can blame Deontay Johnson's drops or whatever the case may be. But, man, the production just wasn't there. Just over 2,000 yards in 12 games played, 62 completion percentage there. And then look at that touchdown number, man. Absolutely terrible. Just 6 touchdowns last year, 13 touchdowns to 13 interceptions in his entire career to this point through 2 seasons. And that's just not the kind of touchdown production that you need out of a franchise quarterback, especially with a roster as good as the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, like I said before, guys, I do feel bad for the kid. I do feel bad for Kenny Pickett because I think he's a hard worker. I think that he approaches the game in the right way. And, I think that he was paired with the worst offensive coordinator and play caller in the game at the time that he entered the league. And it's not like he's the most talented guy in the world. It's not like he's a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen that can make up for Matt Canada's mistakes. He's the type of quarterback that needs an offensive coordinator that's really buttoned up, and he never really had that. And you could definitely make an argument he was never given a fair chance to develop in the National Football League. But at the end of the day, all right, he was bad and Matt Canada was bad. It's not like he had 0 opportunities to show flashes of really good quarterback play in that offense, right? Even Mason Rudolph showed those flashes when Kenny Pickett really did not. And even in the games where people are like, oh yeah, he played a lot better without Canada, still no touchdowns, all right? He had 0 touchdowns in the 6 quarters that he had without Matt Canada, which is not going to be good enough. You need to get the ball in the end zone, and that's just not something KP ever did in his career, whether with Matt Canada or without Matt Canada. And if you had an opportunity to sign Russell Wilson, somebody that had a better passer rating than Patrick Mahomes last year, higher touchdown percentage and a lower interception percentage than Patrick Mahomes last year, you just got to do it. I'm sorry, you just do, because you have a team that's ready to win now, a great defense, a great head coach, an offense that's young and up and coming, and a great pair of running backs as well. You bring in an OC and Arthur Smith that I believe knows what he's talking about, and this is a clear upgrade to me, man. It just is, especially at the $1.2 million price tag that you're paying Russell Wilson. It's not even a discussion, in my opinion. This is why I predicted Russell Wilson was going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler a month before he ended up doing it, because it just made too much sense, all right? He had a good season last year. He beat Mahomes with the Broncos. He beat the Buffalo Bills last year and Josh Allen with the Broncos. He beat teams like the Browns. He beat a lot of playoff teams last year, including Green Bay, by the way, with the Broncos. And I think that with the weapons around him here in Pittsburgh, Russell Wilson's going to be even better here than he was in Pittsburgh. So don't tell me that he can't beat Mahomes. Don't tell me he can't beat Josh Allen, because he's done it actually a number of times in his career already. And at the end of the day, guys, I do think Russell Wilson's the right move, but I do wish Kenny Pickett the best of luck in Philadelphia. All right, he's a good kid. He deserves potentially another opportunity to prove himself in this league. I think the Steelers did make the right decision from moving on from him here. But at the end of the day, man, these are people that we're talking about. These are human beings. And I do wish Kenny, who is a good person, the best of luck elsewhere. Honestly, I think he probably would have been he would have had a better chance to play this year in Pittsburgh than he will in Philly. So maybe it's a worse situation for him. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. What's your one-word reaction to the Steelers trading Kenny Pickett to the Philadelphia Eagles and improving their draft's positioning here in 2024? And my one word, guys, is surprise. I was definitely surprised that they ended up doing this. Like I said before, I did think that they were going to keep Kenny Pickett, but it sounds like it wasn't the Steelers that were the issue here. It was Kenny Pickett not wanting to be here anymore, which I understand, but it's definitely a surprise to me. Now let's talk a little bit about who could be the new backup quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers here and coming up in 2024, because once again, we're down to one quarterback on the roster. So Charles Robinson here says, Eagles address their need for an experienced backup trading for Kenny Pickett. It leaves a hole in the Steelers QB depth chart. Russell Wilson is on a one-year deal with no backup. Steelers were just one of the teams that thought highly of Bears' Justin Fields. The math is mathing, and there's a lot of people making this connection between Justin Fields and the Steelers. If the Steelers end up doing that, we know Mike Tomlin loves him some Justin Fields. It's going to be as a backup. They're not going to pick up his fifth-year option, and it's probably going to cost like a fifth or a sixth round pick at this point because the Bears aren't getting anything in terms of the trade value that they're looking for. So is a team going to come up like the Ravens or somebody else that will be willing to give the Bears more? I guess we'll have to see on that. But I do think Justin Fields to the Steelers is a possibility at this point. However, I do think the better option for the Pittsburgh Steelers moving forward is Ryan Tannehill, okay? Because I think if you bring in Justin Fields, eventually there might be a war in the locker room, and there's definitely going to be a war among the fan base as to who should be the long-term option at quarterback. Russell Wilson is only 35. He could absolutely play another 5 years if he wanted to, but if you bring in Justin Fields, people are going to be like, bench Russ, put in Justin, he's the future, all these different things. And we just got done with a war over Kenny Pickett, guys. Does this fan base really want another war about who should be the next quarterback of this team? I would rather get a Ryan Tannehill, who is really good in this system, with Arthur Smith, led the Tennessee Titans to a number one seed over teams like the Chiefs and the Bills over the last couple of seasons, back in 2020. So I think that Ryan Tannehill, he's getting older, but you know that he can operate this system, and I do think he is probably the more logical option than Justin Fields at this point. That'll be it for today's breaking news action, guys. Thank you so much for all of your support. You can give me a follow on Twitter at Jack_Sperry for more Steelers updates and NFL draft updates every single day. I really do appreciate all of your guys' support. And until next time, here we go, Steelers. All right. We got some super chats rolling in here. We'll get to those, and then we'll get into our second segment today. We still got 2,000 people in the chat right now, Mr. Coop. This one's coming in from DJS. He says, all Steelers moves graded. Queen, A+. Deshaun Elliott, B. Russell Wilson, B+. Killebrew, A. Johnston, C. Kuntz, B-. Pickett, B. So for me, I'm going to go through all these. Queen is an A. Elliott, I think, is a B+ or an A-. I might go A- just because of the value you're getting for Elliott. Wilson, I'm going an A+. I think that is. I do think this is going to be working out for the Steelers. I think that with what you're paying him,
exactly,
that's where the value comes in here. And he's still a really good quarterback. Like I said, higher passer rating than Patrick Mahomes last year, higher touchdown percentage than him. Same area in yards per attempt and adjusted completion percentage, all that good stuff. And that was with a team where he wasn't a fit offensively and he had worse weapons than what he will have here in Pittsburgh. Killebrew and A, I have no problem with that. Johnson, I'll give Johnson a B+.
Sure.
He's exactly what the Steelers need at the punter position.
He's better than Presley Harvin.
He doesn't have a big leg, but man, he can control where the ball goes, and that was the one thing Presley Harvin could never do to save his life. I like the Johnston signing personally. Kuntz a B. Yeah, I haven't gone over the long snapper tape, guys.
You didn't watch his film?
I didn't watch the long snapper film.
You were a real grinder, man.
I mean, I am a real grinder, but I don't have the time. I don't have the time to go over the long snapper film, man. I'm too busy with QBs and everybody else. And then we got Pickett trade B. I'll give it a higher grade than this, actually. I'll give it a B+.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a B+, just because you move up basically from the 4th round to the 3rd round, essentially, right? So you're getting an extra day 2 pick, and the Steelers still have needs that they can address, and you have a higher talent pool to choose from.
Exactly. And, you go from having 2 picks in the early part of day 3 to now having 2 picks at the end of day 2.
Exactly.
That is a massive jump for Omar Khan, and that is a massive jump for a guy like Kenny Pickett, who has put up the production that he has. I mean,
No question.
I mean, let's face it, man. He has not been good these last 2 years, and you could say whatever you want about, Matt Canada not developing him in the right way, and you'd have a point on that. You absolutely do. But, this team is so talented and ready to win now. Are you really going to gamble another season and probably Cam Hayward's last season as a Steeler and as a football player on Kenny Pickett taking that giant leap in year 3 in a new offense?
We have to win now.
You have to win now.
Exactly.
And that's why they went and got Russell Wilson, and that's it. Brandon Nicholson says Vander Esch got released. Release should be signed.
He did.
There's a reason why he got released, though.
He is completely cooked. He's had neck injuries basically over the last 4 or 5 seasons, and there's no reason for the Pittsburgh Steelers to sign Leighton Vander Esch.
Yeah, and I think you got some pretty decent linebackers right now.
Patrick Queen,
Landon Roberts. You have Cole Holcomb on the roster.
TBD on his
TBD
health.
on his stuff. Who knows what that's going to look like, but Vander Esch is probably somebody I'm not super interested in. $5 super chat from Steve Young says, bring in Justin Fields to be another slash. What's slash? Is that supposed to be splash?
Sure.
I don't know.
With his athleticism, what a great weapon. I'm gonna think that means splash. He would be an interesting weapon to put in this new offense, man. He'd obviously be the backup quarterback, but we do know that Mike Tomlin has an affinity for Justin Fields.
Yes, he does. And the other thing that this would do is that it would give them another option for their long-term quarterback.
Yes.
Because if Russell Wilson stinks, and by the way, I don't think he's going to. I feel very confident that he is going to play very well with this team, and we are going to compete for the AFC North crown next year and really be in the thick of it come playoff time. I really do believe that. But
are the Browns the worst team in this division?
Yes. They have by far the worst quarterback.
That's good stuff.
It's not even close.
And they signed Devin Bush, who stinks.
Yeah, Have fun with Devin Bush, Cleveland. Thank you. I cannot wait for Jaylen Warren to shake that guy out of his freaking cleats next year. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait for Devin Bush to miss tackles against Jaylen Warren next year. But, there's pros and cons to Justin Fields,
For
Coop.
sure.
If you bring him in, he'd be a great backup option to Russell Wilson. If, God forbid, something happened to Russ, your season's not completely over with
Correct.
Justin Fields in there. With him in the lineup, you'd have an incredible run game. You'd have to account you have to account for the running backs and Jalen and Justin on every play. But I don't know if he's at the level as a passer. I mean, there's a reason why no one's picking him up right now. People are taking Drew Lock and Gardner Minshew over guys like Fields.
Does that surprise you?
Yes, it does.
It surprises me too that
just because of how young.
Exactly.
Fields is still so young. He has the physical upside to be something really good, but he's still very raw, even after 3 years in the NFL as a passer, and that scares a lot of teams.
I could see a scenario where the Bears end up keeping him. I could see it, man. I mean, and he's the backup to Caleb Williams. And that would probably take a massive hit to his ego, but if the Bears don't get what they want in the trade market, I can see it.
The reason why I would say there's pretty much a 0% chance of that happening in my mind is because they don't want that rift between the locker room.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, there's still people in that locker room and in that building that are supporters of Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And is it gonna make it easier for them to get behind Caleb Williams if Justin is still there? No way.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's the same thing with Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett when we were discussing that as the that's what people were saying was the most likely option for the Steelers 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
All right, and look how that blew up. Neither one of them is on the team. This one's from Logie. It says confirmed Fields to Pittsburgh.
Not quite confirmed.
Not quite confirmed. It's
possible. It's
possible, but there's definitely pros and cons.
And there's a lot of work to get done before that happens.
Absolutely. $20 super chat from Moats.
Gold Club member.
Says, wow, love this move. It definitely needed to happen. Let's go get Fields.
Sounds like the fan base wants a little Justin Fields in their life.
It definitely does, especially at the price tag that you can get him at. The only thing that I would warn Steelers fans about is that if you trade for Justin Fields, it's kind of like at the end of World War I when they said that would be the war to end all wars. And by the end of the decade, the entire world was at war again.
Oh yeah.
This would be World War II for Pittsburgh Steelers fans, because if you get Justin Fields, who is over a decade younger than Russell Wilson, super athletic, all these different things. There's going to be people on Team Fields, and there's going to be people on Team Russ, and it's just going to be a constant war, and there's always going to be, every time Russ makes a bad throw, the people on Team Fields are going to be like, this guy fucking blows, get Justin Fields in the game. And it's like, I don't want to deal with that this season. I want to get behind one guy, and, Ryan Tannehill, I think, is perfect.
He'd be a good backup.
Because,
he knows the offense.
He knows the offense. He knows the verbiage that Arthur Smith is going to bring in. It makes sense for him because he had the best years of his career in this offense.
And I know this is an underrated part of being a backup, but the backup's job during the week also is to help the starter prepare for the game. I think Ryan Tannehill could do a better job of that than Justin Fields could.
Yeah, and I think at this point, Russ probably doesn't need that presence. He works really hard, and if anything, he would be the mentor to somebody else. But, it never hurts to have another good set of eyes, a veteran that has played a lot in this league.
No doubt.
And, I think Tannehill, if called upon, you can operate this offense and still expect to potentially win games with Ryan Tannehill. Your season is not completely over with Tannehill, but it's not like if we bring in Tannehill, there's going to be people on Team Tannehill saying, let's bench Russ after one bad throw.
Yeah.
With Justin Fields, that is 100% the case. And with Ryan Tannehill, you still get all the benefits of having a good high-end backup for Russ without having somebody just hanging over his shoulder the entire time he's in Pittsburgh. So I'm in favor of Ryan Tannehill personally, but Justin Fields is intriguing. $20 super chat from one of our Black Diamonds.
Read Logie's first real quick.
Oh, I see. Okay, so he goes offensive tackle round 1, wide receiver round 2, cornerback round 3, center round 3 from Philly, linebacker round 4, defensive line round 5, and then quarterback. I don't mind that from Logie.
No, I'm in.
At all. It depends which guys you're getting, obviously, and who's on the board.
Omar's going to cook something nice, though. That's all I know.
But, yeah, man, I mean, I do think that they're not done making moves in free agency. I still think they get another receiver. They might sign a tackle of some sort. Obviously we don't know those answers yet. They still might get Connor Williams to be their next center.
If you had to predict right now at number 20, would you say offensive line is your leading candidate?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're going into it needing a tackle and needing a center, you're taking care of tackle round 1.
Or what if it's Powers Johnson?
No, because here's the thing. You can get a legitimate starting center in round 3 in this draft.
Fair enough.
Easy.
A Cedric Van Pran.
Easy, yes.
Yeah.
You can't get a starting left tackle that you trust to be a left tackle on round 3. Well, here's the thing, too. If they bring Broderick over to the left side like they say they plan to, it could be right tackle as well. Yeah. So if Talisi Fuaga from Oregon State is there for them at number 20, we're snatching them, all right? Because this team is going to be predicated on the run game, and Fuaga is arguably, at least right now, I have the highest run block grade on Fuaga. So if he is there at 20, and there's a decent chance that he is, I think that he's probably the pick in round 1. $20 super chat here from my girl, Marilyn Krieger. Black Diamond here. Says Pickett's performance doesn't warrant the attitude, and happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Everyone.
Hope everyone has a good happy hour today. Go get yourself some drinks after work.
Happy Friday, Marilyn Krieger. Kenny Pickett has been traded, and,
And she has a point as well.
She has a point, man. And listen, we don't know the specifics, and I want to be fair to Kenny Pickett because all of you guys out there that are, super bashing him and calling him, a brat and all these different things, if you were a first-round quarterback and if the team was telling you all offseason, we're not replacing you, and then all of a sudden they do, wouldn't you be a little upset about that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know I would. I mean, Kenny Pickett's a human being here, guys. Let's have a little bit of sympathy. But, Marilyn, I also agree with you that, probably you could have handled it a little bit better. Now, obviously, Kenny did not have any intention of that getting out.
No, but it did.
But it did, right?
Shout out to Jerry.
So shout out to Jerry, but we all know Jerry Dulac can be wrong. So
he can be wrong. He has been wrong.
So,
he did say Deontay Johnson. There was a 100% chance Deontay Johnson was going to be on the Steelers roster week 1. And
why do we listen to him?
7 days later, Deontay Johnson's been traded.
Last year, he said there was a 0% chance Miles Jack comes back. A day later, he was on the Steelers roster. This offseason said that the Steelers were sticking with Kenny Pickett and were planning to sign Mason Rudolph. None of them are on the roster.
Find some new sources, Jerry.
I mean, where are you getting your information? From your mother? From your grandma? From your sister? Like, where are you getting your information, Jerry? I need to know. Because you said just like 10 days ago, he said 10 days ago that Deontay Johnson had a 100% chance.
Not 99.
100% chance to be on this team. A week later, he's fucking traded. And I'm sorry for the language, all right? But like this guy has been not just wrong, but like he is like said definitively, this is not happening. And every time they do the opposite of what he's saying. I don't get it, guys. Like, why do we listen to him? From DJS says, I don't think Fields is the answer now, but under Wilson, for say a year, it would be a beautiful development to Fields that he never got in Chicago. So here's the thing, man. If Russell Wilson plays well next year, he's going to be the starting quarterback of this team for the next 2-3 years. After this year. He's going to get He's going to get an extension. It's not like you're getting like a 40-year-old Brett Favre here, okay? It's not like you're getting a 44-year-old Tom Brady. You're getting a 35-year-old quarterback, same age as Kirk Cousins, by the way. You hear any Atlanta Falcons fans saying, we need a quarterback for the future now? No, you don't.
Because they signed Kirk to a 4-year deal worth damn near $80 million.
And if the Steelers sign, or if the Steelers get Justin, or if the Steelers play well with Russell Wilson, is what I'm trying to say, they're going to sign him to an extension. They're going to bring him back, because why would you mess with what's not broken? All right, if the Steelers make the playoffs and they win a playoff game next year, I will guarantee you right now he is a Pittsburgh Steeler next year, and he's getting paid a good contract to come back.
So this is just coming in from Tom Pelissero. He says Mike Tomlin had promised Kenny Pickett he'd get a chance to compete. Pickett learned about the Russell Wilson signing on social media Sunday night. When Pickett and Tomlin spoke the next morning, Tomlin told Pickett that Wilson was in pole position and would get the first reps, so Pickett asked for a trade. There it is. Pickett asked for a trade on Sunday.
Well, I mean, that's kind of obvious, right?
It clearly
like
is.
You're bringing in a veteran quarterback at 35 years old, and he played way better than Pickett last year. Of course he's going to be in the pole position.
Yeah.
What was Kenny expecting here? For Mike Tomlin to say, oh yeah, like does he want him to lie to him and say it's even competition here?
I think Tomlin told him the truth, and then Kenny was like, all right, well, if that's the case, then I'm going to request a trade and go get out of here. Thing is,
I will say this right now, Coop. I think Jerry Dulac is overstating like how poorly he managed this.
I would agree with that as well.
I think Pickett was just like, if you're going to go with Wilson, that's fine. But I want a change of scenery. Respectfully. I don't think he like stormed out of the office and like had a huge hissy fit or anything like that.
I'll say this though. He requested a trade. The Steelers said, okay, we'll trade you. Well, they traded him to Philadelphia, who, by the way, has a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Kenny Pickett.
He's probably pissed about where he got traded to.
And listen, man, I've been defending him all day from all these people calling him a brat and a baby and all these different things. And, there's some merit to that, I think. Because we've seen this from him last year when he got benched for Rudolph, right? So
he refused to dress.
He refused to dress in Week 17, at least according to Dulac, and
again,
grain of salt because it's Dulac. But you got to feel for the guy a little bit, and I understand why he wants a change of scenery. I mean, the people in the locker room before saw him as their QB, as their starter, their brave leader, so to speak.
No doubt about it.
Now he's going to take a back seat and be the backup? I mean, Mitch Trubisky took on that role with flying colors last year, and then when he got his opportunity, he stunk it up. But at least he took on that role on the team. Kenny Pickett seems like the type of guy right now that thinks that he deserves to be the starting quarterback of this team.
And that's not the case.
And like based on his play and based on the contract that they got for Wilson, it's just not the case, man. So we wish Kenny the best of luck. I feel bad for him. I wish that he would have been paired with a better offensive coordinator because, I mean, he's a Pitt Panther legend. I would have loved for Kenny Pickett to have been awesome, but he wasn't. All right, and Russell Wilson has a legitimate shot to be awesome here in Pittsburgh at the contract that he's going to be at.
Yes, he does.
$2 super chat from a first-time super chatter, Araya Probst. First-time super chatter, some Ric Flair Jip. Woo! Thank you. And then we got, if we don't get a center, will they try Nate Herbig? They're going to get a center.
I think they have to.
Like, this isn't even like a legitimate hypothetical to me. Like, they might go into the draft with Nate Herbig as their guy. For now, they're going to draft a guy if that's the case. And if that's the case, that center's going to get first-team reps, the first rep at St. Vincent in training camp this year.
I agree.
By the way, Coop, I'm trying to get our bosses here to send us to Pittsburgh for a weekend.
That's right.
So we can go see Russell Wilson and everybody live in Latrobe.
Hopefully the Pirates are in town.
We definitely go to PNC.
Oh, yeah.
No question. Me and my girlfriend Cassie went to Latrobe last year for training camp, and it was awesome, man. It was just an awesome experience. A couple of you guys came up to me and, said some really nice words about the show. You guys know who you are. I appreciate your support. But we went to PNC. Freaking unbelievable. It was just rated the #1 ballpark in America.
I've never been actually to PNC, but it looks freaking awesome.
And I hope by that point Paul Skeens has been called up.
Dude, Skeens is just an
disgusting
stud.
Disgusting. Sitting at 101 with a disgusting changeup.
He's a joke.
I mean, he might be one. If he gets called up early this year, he might be one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Legitimately might be, yes.
$5 super chat from Black Diamond. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6er. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6er. 6er. What's up, Elliptic 6? Says it's a sad day for Pittsburgh, but a great day for Russell Wilson and the Steelers. Stairway to 7.
Let's go get #7, baby.
By the way, something that I loved from Russell Wilson in his introductory press conference today, he's like, right over there in that trophy case, we got 6 trophies. Our job is to get a 7th one.
No doubt about it.
This is a guy with the right kind of mindset here that's going to be coming in. He's one of the hardest workers in the league, one of the best leaders, in my opinion. I mean, I think he's such an underrated leader. He's a former man of the year, for Christ's sakes, man.
Is.
Like, I mean, Bobby Wagner is like his best friend, all right? Cortland Sutton, another great player, talks about how much he loves Russ all the time. Like, yeah, there's some select players that say certain things about Russ or whatever, and sometimes he is maybe a little bit of a prima donna, and he's definitely corny. All right, he is a cornball. He is the cornball machine. But man, this guy can ball. This guy can play.
He's a baller, man.
Like the way that he played last year. I mean, he played good football last year. He beat Mahomes last year. He beat Josh Allen. He beat the Cleveland Browns. He beat Green Bay. He was beating playoff teams last year, and at one point was leading that Broncos team with a terrible offensive structure, in my opinion. Sean Payton, man, he's lost his step as a play caller. And then the weapons weren't as good as he's going to have here in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And he was still putting up good numbers. One of the highest adjusted completion percentages in football. One of the highest touchdown percentages in football. One of the highest quarterback ratings in football last year. And now he's going to a team that already has the defense lined up, already has good weapons lined up for him, a great run game lined up for him, an offensive coordinator that knows what he's doing lined up for him, a great head coach. I mean, a great culture. I think this is a match made in heaven, and I think that the Steelers are a top 5 team in the AFC as we sit here today, Coop. And I think they have a legitimate shot to compete for a Super Bowl next year.
Let's go get #7, baby. We'll see you in Nolans.
Like there's some good teams in the AFC. Like Kansas City is still going to be #1. The Ravens are still a good team, even though we eat their lunch money every single year. Oh, we eat their lunch every single year. We don't eat the money. We eat the lunch.
They give us their money.
They give us the money, and we eat the lunch. All right. Also, Houston looks like they're going to be damn good again next year.
Very good.
Miami is going to be a good team. They've made some moves. So it's not like the Steelers are the favorite. It's not like this move makes the Steelers like, oh my gosh, they're the favorites to win the Super Bowl. But it's like,
among them.
But it's like, now that we ask the question, can the Steelers win a Super Bowl this year? The answer to that question is legitimately yes. When this time last week, the answer to that question was no. So that is the difference with Russell Wilson. He's not the best quarterback in the league, but he's borderline top 10. And with this roster around him, with his playoff record and his experience in the clutch, winning those close games and those tight moments, absolutely, this team has a shot to win a Super Bowl next year.
You want to see what Russ had to say in his presser this morning?
Yes, I do.
We'll do that here in just a moment. If you haven't already, please hit that thumbs up icon, hit that sub button. We're giving you all the latest Steelers content right here. We're going to talk about the Russell Wilson press conference here coming up on today's show.
Yes, I got my top 5 takeaways from the presser. If there's any graphics that have anything to do with Pickett, just get rid of them in the script. Cool? All right, cool. Let's get into it right now. My top 5 takeaways from Russell Wilson's introductory press conference earlier today. Russell Wilson is officially a Pittsburgh Steeler, and by the time this video comes out, it would be yesterday since Russell Wilson had his introductory press conference. But today, I'm going to be sharing with you guys my 5 takeaways from the Russell Wilson press conference. He said some very interesting things about his future with the black and gold here that I want to discuss with you here on Steelers Talk. But before we get into that, make sure you guys click that subscribe button because this is the start of a new era. All right, Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph and Mitchell Trubisky, all of them are gone. All right, Russell Wilson is now in. Okay, so this is the Russell Wilson era. It was the Big Ben era. Then it was a very dark day. Winter came, okay, with Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky. And now that winter is over, hopefully with the Russell Wilson era being ushered in. So make sure you click that subscribe button because we got you guys covered with daily, free, and extensive Steelers coverage right here on YouTube. We called the Kenny Pickett trade where he was going to go. We called that he would go to Philly, and we called Russell Wilson to the Steelers a month before it happened. So make sure you click that subscribe button right now. And let's get into the presser takeaways here. Number 1 on my list is that Russ is focused on himself. He's not worried about any of the quarterbacks that are going to be in the room. He's not worried about Justin Fields. He's not worried about Ryan Tannehill. He's not worried about a rookie coming in. And he's definitely not worried about Kenny Pickett because he's no longer here. He said in his press conference that what he's focused on is being the best version of himself and not necessarily about the role that Mike Tomlin slates for him with this team. Now, I think Russ definitely knows in his mind he's going to be the starter for this team heading into next season. But I like this approach from Russell Wilson. He's always taken this approach where it's very similar to Tom Brady in this way. And by the way, no, I'm not comparing Russell Wilson to Tom Brady. Relax at home. But they have a similar approach to the game where they're going to take every single day and make the most of it, and they're going to work their ass off to try to win a championship for whatever team they're on. And don't get it twisted, guys, whether they trade for Justin Fields or if they sign Ryan Tannehill or they make any move whatsoever, Russell Wilson will be the Week 1 starter of the Pittsburgh Steelers next year, whether you like it or not. So predict it for me down there in the comments section. Will the Russell Wilson move work out for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Do you think this warrants a second contract for Russell Wilson based on how it goes this year? Let me know down there in the comments section. Give me a yes or no for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time, but give me a yes or a no down there in the comments. All right, so now let's get into my second takeaway from this presser, which is that Russell Wilson is a long-term answer at the quarterback position, or at least the Steelers view him in that way. And Russell Wilson certainly feels like he could still be a quarterback in this league for the next 5 to 7 years. He said so in the press conference. And honestly, guys, with the way he takes care of his body, I absolutely believe he can do this. We've seen guys like Tom Brady, we've seen guys like Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees play well into their 40s and still play good football. And there's nobody that works on their body and works on their health and all these different things and training than Russell Wilson does, and both from a physical and mental standpoint. So in my opinion, the body is going to hold up for Russell Wilson. The big question is the game going to hold up? And I have a feeling it absolutely will. And if he works out here in Pittsburgh and he plays well, and I do expect him to, because I think it's a perfect fit. I still think he's a good quarterback. He's got a good surrounding cast, whole 9 yards. He's going to be here for a while. I know he's on a 1-year deal, but it's going to be a lot like Baker Mayfield last year where he had a 1-year rental, prove-it deal. He proved himself, and then he got a big contract. I think it's going to be a similar thing here with Russell because nobody takes care of their body better than Russell Wilson. We know this. It's well documented how hard this guy works, and he's only 35 years old. Okay, the Atlanta Falcons just paid Kirk Cousins, who's the same age, off of a torn Achilles, a 4-year contract with a ton of money guaranteed. All right, so let's not pretend that Russell Wilson is this old, washed quarterback, and then Kirk Cousins, who's the same age as him, is just getting started with a new team. All right, Russell Wilson is the long-term answer for the Pittsburgh Steelers with this roster right now. So if you're saying, man, we got to draft a quarterback in round 1, or, oh, we got to go get Justin Fields to have an option for the future, no, he's going to be the quarterback here for a long time, unless he stinks it up this year, in which they'll address it in 2025. So coming up here, more takeaways from the Russell Wilson introductory press conference to cover today. But before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. Football season may be over, but the action on the floor is just heating up. Whether it's tournament season or the fight for playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments during March Madness. Get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. How does it work, you ask? Well, here's how you play. Pick 2 to 6 players, and if they'll go for more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can even win up to 25 times your money on any entry. So download the Prize Picks app today or go to prizepicks.com/CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. With Prize Picks, it takes less than 60 seconds to make your picks. So get started right now. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. You can pick more or you can pick less. It's that easy with our friends at Prize Picks. And then another thing that I want to clear up here, and something I see on Twitter and all these different things, is that people say Russell Wilson's not a culture fit with Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I could not disagree with this more, man. If you just listen to Russell Wilson speak at the podium yesterday or today, depending on when you're watching this, he sounds just like Mike Tomlin, man. He talks in a way that's super energetic, optimistic about the future, team-oriented, and focused on what the controllables are. All of those are things that Mike Tomlin does, and you can tell that Mike Tomlin sees Russell Wilson as kind of his proxy in the locker room, his voice in the locker room. And that takes me to my fourth takeaway here, is that he is the face of this team, and he is going to be the guy in the locker room. For the last several years, pretty much his entire career, it's been Cam Hayward, because Big Ben Roethlisberger wasn't really one of those guys that was like, super rah-rah, talkative, super vocal leader in the locker room. He wasn't really interested in that. And then Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky weren't all that great at that part of the game either. Pickett was a little bit better. But Russell Wilson is one of the best locker room leaders in the National Football League. He has an incredible ability to instill belief in the players around him. And as much as I love Cam Hayward and as much as he deserves the command of the respect in the locker room that he has earned, Russell Wilson is the quarterback, and he is going to be the fearless leader of the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into 2024. Cam's still going to have a leadership role, don't get me wrong, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But, man, Russell Wilson, when it comes to getting everybody rallied up, it's going to be Russell Wilson ahead of the charge, and he's going to be leading the troops into battle. And then the final one here is let's ride, because I am so excited and optimistic about Russell Wilson and his fit with Arthur Smith, the offense, and the players that are already here and the players they're going to add throughout the rest of free agency and the draft. Now, I show you these numbers here, not to say that Russell Wilson is better than Patrick Mahomes. Any functioning human with a brain can tell you that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback on the planet. But the fact that you can get a quarterback like Russell Wilson, who had a better passer rating than him last year, a better interception percentage last year, a better touchdown percentage than him last year, and was in the same range in adjusted completion percentage and yards per attempt. If you're getting that quarterback on the right for the price that you're getting him, $1.21 million, that is a hell of a steal for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And yes, it is a much needed upgrade at the quarterback position compared to what they had last year and Kenny Pickett. Now, you can certainly say, Pickett was going to improve with Arthur Smith in his first year in that system, his third year in the league, yada, yada, yada. But listen, man, I think Russell Wilson is going to improve from his numbers last season. He's going to have better weapons to work with. I think the offensive play caller and that system fits his skill set better. So listen, man, I think Russell Wilson's numbers last year were really good, and I think they're going to be even better next year with Arthur Smith, with all the support he's going to have here in Pittsburgh. And for me, he really does check all the boxes. The three things that I want in the starting quarterback for the Steelers to replace Kenny Pickett, I've been saying it all offseason. I want somebody that can make plays out of structure and throw the ball down the field. Check that. He's one of the best out of structure playmakers in league history with an amazing deep ball. Number two, I want somebody that could protect the football like Kenny Pickett did last year. Big reason why they won so many games with him is because he protected the football. Russell Wilson has one of the lowest interception percentages in league history. He's only had above 11 interceptions once in his career. And then somebody that can perform in the clutch and in the postseason. He's got 16 playoff games under his belt, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 win. He nearly won the second one as well. One of the most clutch performers in history, top 10 and fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives in the history of the game. This checks all the boxes to me, man, and especially when you put it at a $1.2 million price tag, that's just the cherry on top, and I think it's one of the best value signings in the history of the National Football League. Make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon right now, by the way, if you're pumped up for the first year of the Russell Wilson era here in Pittsburgh. So before I go, I want to talk Patrick Queen, and Queenie was in Pittsburgh today along with Russ and Deshaun Elliott to sign his contract and to address the media. And he told the media today that he is, in fact, going to be wearing number 6. Art Rooney actually gave a linebacker number 6. He caved, baby. I mean, you just got to chip away, man. Eventually, we're going to get that number 0 on somebody's jersey for the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. And Queen, appreciate you, man. Trailblazer for this team. Getting the single digits for the linebackers. You got to love it. He's going to be looking sick in that 6 jersey for the Pittsburgh Steelers, replacing Presley Harvin III, who did not do that number justice. All right, now let me know down there in the comments section. Steelers could still make some more moves. We know they need a wide receiver. We know they need a tackle. We know they need a center. Could use another corner. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. What NFL free agent do you want the Steelers to sign next? You want Tyler Boyd, Tyron Smith, somebody else? Let me know down there in the comments section who you're targeting if you're GM Omar Khan. That'll be it for today's show, guys. Thank you so much for all of your support. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now for extensive, in-depth, and free Steelers coverage every single day here on YouTube. Got some super chats rolling in here.
Yes, sir.
Ladarian Barnes with a 2 first-time super chat. Let's give him some Ric Flair drip. Woo! Gotta love it, baby.
And then he followed that up with another 2, and he said, Daniels has experience at center. Herbig can go to right tackle.
I don't trust Herbig at right tackle. I don't think he moves well enough, personally.
Agreed.
You know, Herbig, the thing that I don't love about Herbig is that he doesn't move well. And in this system with wide zone being
You got to
run,
be able to move.
You got to be able to move, man. You got to be able to get off blocks, get to the second level, cover up those linebackers, and I don't think Herbig really fits what they want to do anymore at any position. So they'll probably keep him as depth because he's just so goddamn cheap. But as a starting option, I don't see it, man. I really, really don't. I think he's a decent backup option if you need an emergency guy to come in. But, man, I think they're going to get a starting center, whether it be Connor Williams in free agency. Evan Brown is still available, who's not quite as good. But I do expect, center is definitely one of the positions, I think, at some point. Is that the
number 1 need right now?
Well, it's definitely a need that I think the Steelers will 100% draft somebody. Like, even if they get Williams or Evan Brown in free agency, they still need somebody young at that position for the future. $5 super chat here from Kyle King, His Royal Highness. Kyle King is here. The $5 super chat says, picture this with me. Steelers-Eagles Super Bowl. Hurts gets hurt.
Oh, my God.
In the NFC Championship, it's Kenny versus Russ in the Super Bowl. Game prediction and stats.
Steelers by 1 million.
Steelers win 31-16.
That's about a Kenny Pickett score.
Well, actually, 31-10. Kenny Pickett, let's face it, man. I know he got shafted by getting paired with Matt Canada.
He did.
But Philly's offensive structure kind of stinks too, man.
True.
Like, that offense is very, very bland. No motion. It's all spread concepts. It's better than what he had in Matt Canada, but it's still not great.
Absolutely.
So 31-10, and the 7 and the touchdown will be like a fumble.
40-13.
40-13. Steelers are winning that game, by the way. Kenny Pickett first. By the way, in that scenario, it would be his first playoff start.
Wow.
Okay, like.
Because he didn't start.
I mean, you look at the record of young quarterbacks in their first playoff starts in their careers.
He didn't start the previous year in the playoffs either.
He didn't.
Yeah.
So, like, you look at the record of, like, first-time playoff quarterbacks in their first game ever.
Bad.
It's bad.
Yeah.
And if your first game is in the Super Bowl, the biggest stage in the sport, against a defense like the Steelers, a team that knows you extremely well.
Mike Tomlin.
They might score 0 points. It might be a shutout.
Mike Tomlin and Terrell Austin would cook up a game plan that would have Pickett in a pretzel.
Oh, yeah, man. TJ Watt is just destroying that guy. $5 super chat here from Terry. Says, Tyler Boyd is next. And what do you think of J.K. Dobbins as a third option at RB3?
I don't hate it.
And Tannehill at QB2. I mean, take a flyer on him.
Yeah, I like J.K. Sure.
I wouldn't hate it. You're getting him at a super cheap price, but man, those injuries.
Knows the Ravens playbook, but so does Queen, though.
Exactly. And yeah. Then we got $20 super chat from Christopher Roy. And he says, when I saw the news, I was in shock. But as soon as I saw it, I posted Justin Fields to the Steelers. I feel Omar isn't done yet either. I don't think it's going to be Fields. And honestly, man, he's not my first option. I would be okay with it. I would be excited. But, what this would be for me is the first 10 seconds I hear the news, I will be so excited. Then there will be this sense of dread that comes over me because I know that there's going to be a huge war between Steelers fans as to who the better quarterback is between Russell Wilson and Justin Fields and who should be the guy to usher in the next 5 years of football for this team.
I just want to shout out Marilyn in the chat real quick. She said, I just don't see Pickett in the Super Bowl. That's why it would take Jalen Hurts winning the NFC and then him getting hurt for Pickett to ever play in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Man.
And by the way, the fact that we're talking about Pickett in that light shows you that it was the right decision for the Steelers to move on.
Absolutely the right decision.
Because,
and the second he requested a trade, that's when you knew, let's go. Let's get him out.
Yeah, exactly. And, I never thought the decision to draft Pickett was a good idea for the Steelers. I always supported him. I've always liked him. Okay, this isn't anything personal against Kenny Pickett.
Never.
In fact, I've been defending him today.
It's just business.
A lot. But, the big question that you have to have on your mind if you're the Steelers with this roster, with this head coach, do you have any chance of winning the Super Bowl next year?
With Kenny?
With Kenny.
No.
And before it wasn't. Now with
Now you
Russell
do.
Wilson, the answer to that question is yes. Now, some Steelers fans are like, well, he's not going to be favored over Mahomes and the Chiefs, so why even make this move?
Because you're trying to win Super Bowls. That's the name of the game, is winning.
And it's my response to that is please name my options that would make the Steelers favorites over the Super Bowl champions last year that are affordable to them because they don't have a bunch of cap space this year.
If the Pittsburgh Steelers weren't focused on winning football games, I would be very, very concerned. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the flagship organization of the NFL, and they are the ones that need to be setting the tone and trying to win every single year. The word tank does not exist in the Pittsburgh Steelers vocabulary.
Yeah, and another thing that kind of annoys me, Coop, about the dialogue around the Steelers is that they don't make the big moves to get better. And listen, before this year, I think you could make that argument. All right,
could.
You kept Matt Canada around for another year, a year too late. They did not make that mistake again this year when I was so sure that they were going to.
No doubt.
All the reporting coming out said that it was going to be Pickett and Rudolph, and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be bringing back Matt Canada all over again, and we're going to waste Cam Hayward's 2 straight years, the final 2 years of Cam's career, and it's going to be too late.
Yeah.
But
they
now
they fired Matt Canada, they traded Kenny Pickett, they got Russell Wilson, and they got Arthur Smith, who is an offensive genius.
Exactly. And by the way, last year, I said the X factor for the Pittsburgh Steelers to compete for a Super Bowl was whether or not Matt Canada, the OC, and Kenny Pickett, the quarterback, would be worth their salt. We found out they weren't, so the Steelers weren't Super Bowl contenders. Now they have fixed both. They have fixed the offensive coordinator spot with somebody that is super buttoned up, has elevated talent, especially quarterback talent, all throughout his career. And now he's coming to the Steelers, ground and pound run game, perfect fit with the personnel. And now you have a quarterback, like we said, better passer rating than Mahomes last season. Okay? Somebody with a great deep ball, somebody that's great off of play action, all these things. It's a perfect fit, and because of that, the Steelers are Super Bowl contenders, in my opinion. Uh-oh.
We'll read Matthew Nelson's, and then we'll get to business.
Matthew Nelson says, any free agent offensive line guy there, so we save draft pick instead. Tyron Smith?
Yeah, I'd be in on that.
I'd be in on Tyron Smith. It seems like he's never healthy, but when he's in, he's damn good. So he's available. Trent Brown, I think, is actually a really good fit. And at this point in the game, I think you can get a steal on him.
Connor
Williams at center is another guy you could think about. And then also David Bakhtiari.
If he's healthy. Big if.
Yeah, I mean, those are kind of the guys to keep your eye on out there because those guys are older. They're trying to win championships. They're going to take lower-level contracts to come here, and they're still good. They're still good when they're healthy. Uh-oh! Haven't seen Kurgan Cold here in a while. What's up, Kurgan? One of the all-time Steelers legends is here.
Spam nice.
Everybody spam nice because there's the 6 and there's the 9. Everybody spam nice in the chat.
Shout out Kurgan.
I will give a shout out to anybody that puts nice in the chat. Shout out to Josh Allen. Shout out to Colton. Shout out to J-Can. Shout out to David. Shout out to Yoglob. Shout out to Gary Reynolds. He's here, baby. Shout out to Max, Matthew, Jeffrey, DJS, Mikey, 360S Dot, Brandon Race, Zach Attack, Rico Parson, J-Can, Jacob Wizerak, Steelers Dad, Raul, Juan, Steelers Dad again, Gary, Blissy, and Exify. Thank you guys so much for showing some love to my man, Kurgan Cold, baby. Then we got one from Kevin, the Elder God here. Says, I think I'd feel better with a Huntley or Dobbs reunion as a QB2. What say you? I would like Ryan Tannehill. This is who I would want.
Tannehill.
Because listen, man.
I don't hate Josh Dobbs either, though.
Josh Dobbs would be fine. I'd be fine with Josh Dobbs. I think Ryan Tannehill's number one on my list because he gives me everything I'm looking for in a backup option here. Noah Hood says Tannehill sucks. He sucked the last couple seasons because the OCs, we complain about Matt Canada. The offensive play callers in Tennessee the last several years have not been good since Arthur Smith has left.
They have not.
Okay? And listen, he is getting older, and that's a concern there. But he knows the offense. He's played well in the offense. I think he had 33 touchdowns and 8 interceptions the last time he was in an Arthur Smith offense. Okay, so I like that potential upside if, God forbid, Russell Wilson gets hurt. And I like the fact that you won't start a war among Steelers fans. I am so. Once I heard the news about Kenny Pickett, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, this war and this debate and this argument among Steelers fans can finally end. We can get behind Russ.
Exactly. And Gary said trade for Justin Fields, and that's kind of what you were just talking about.
Yeah, and like if you trade for Justin Fields, I mean, I predicted the Kenny Pickett destination like 3 weeks ago. I predicted the Russell Wilson to the Steelers signing a month ago. Telling you guys this right now, as somebody that knows this fan base extremely well, if we trade for Justin Fields, there's going to be a division in our fan base between guys that like Russell Wilson and guys that like Justin Fields, and they're going to be constantly warring with each other, and we're not going to be getting behind just one guy.
Exactly.
And like this is what I've been waiting for. I've been wanting for us to just get behind one guy, and that won't happen if we trade for Justin Fields.
Also, classic Jerry Dulac, by the way. Are you ready for this?
Oh no,
It's nothing new. This was 3 hours before Kenny Pickett was traded to the Eagles. Jerry Dulac was at the press conference, and he tweeted this. He said, Wilson texted Kenny Pickett right after he agreed to the deal just to tell him, hey, every day we go out there, let's be the best version of ourselves and try to make this team better. That was cool, Jerry said. 3 hours later, Kenny Pickett has been traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, this guy is so wrong every time. It's incredible.
Dude, and the thing is, too,
a weatherman is right more than him.
Dude, the thing is, too, like, every time he goes on, like, Rich Eisen or, like, any of, like, these national media shows, like Pat McAfee, like, McAfee was pretty much, like, sucking his you-know-what.
Oh, yeah.
Like, calling him a Steeler, like, a Pittsburgh legend in these things, like...
Come on, Jerry.
I mean, like, I know he's been doing it a long time, and he's a name that, like, everybody in the city of Pittsburgh knows, but, like, the dude stinks.
He stinks.
The dude, obviously, his sources
They're bad.
His sources have literally no connection to the main decision makers in that building. I honestly think, Coop, you know what I think? You know what my prediction is here? I think his source is Kevin Colbert, the former GM of the Steelers, who has pretty much no connection to what they do now. I think that he asked Kevin Colbert what he would do, and he gives him his answer, and then he assumes that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing. But here's the thing, man. You've got a new sheriff in town with Omar Khan. He's not afraid to make trades. He's not afraid to move off of a quarterback after his second year in the league if he's not playing good. Oh, my goodness, man. All right, so Brad, number one Browns fan.
This is one of PD's cronies here, so beware of that before you read.
This should be good. F Steelers, hey Unibrow man, PD and Mitch are better than you as hosts. We get Mike Vrabel and Jerry Jeudy as a weapon.
You also got Devin Bush.
Have fun with Deshaun Watson next year because he had barely better numbers than Kenny Pickett.
And you're paying him $50 million.
And you're paying him $50 million this year, whatever the case may be. Mike Vrabel's fine. I mean, good hire there. Jerry Jeudy, probably the most overrated receiver out of anybody in the NFL.
He drops more balls than me.
Like, he drops a lot of passes. Just ask our new quarterback, Russell Wilson, about that, man.
Yeah, Jerry
Jeudy stinks.
If you think Jerry Jeudy is going to be the reason the Browns win a championship for the first time since 1964, I have bad news for you, Brad.
Like, listen, man, for the price that they got Jerry, I think it's a decent value. Sure, 5th and 6th round pick for a starting, capable wide receiver. Okay, he's a good route runner. He gets open. But, like, if there's a defender even close to him and even contests it a little bit, it's going to be dropped. It's not going to be a completion. And he's got one of the worst catch radiuses in the National Football League. So Deshaun Watson better be pinpoint accurate because if he doesn't, the thing's hitting the turf.
Everyone type FCLE in the chat. I freaking hate
F
the Browns.
the Browns, baby. F the Browns.
You guys are finishing last in this division, Brad. I hope you know that.
The Browns are going to be last place.
They're going to be in last place in this division.
And listen, of course he's going to think, and by the way, I take it as a compliment that he says that Mitch and Petey are better than me because he's a Browns fan. I wouldn't expect him to. I mean,
you should.
I wouldn't expect him to think that the Steelers host is the better host between his team and his arch rivals.
Yeah, Brad, good luck with your crappy quarterback
So good luck with Deshaun Watson. Have fun in the basement. Have fun in the basement in the AFC North next year, buddy. Ricky Campbell, $2 super chat says, will the Steelers go after Justin Fields? It's possible. I'll say that right now. We know Mike.
I don't think it's impossible. Yes.
Yeah, we know that not a lot of teams are interested in him right now. We know the Steelers had some interest in trading for him before they ended up getting Russ.
No doubt.
And if you really want to put together the most talent possible, that's what I'll say. If you want to put together the most talent as you possibly can on this quarterback room next year, you go and get Justin Fields. But there's a downside to that because there's going to be a war in this fan base and potentially in the locker room even.
It would be something.
If Justin Fields ends up coming here. So I feel like that's a headache that I don't think Justin Fields is worth. I would rather get a Ryan Tannehill or something like that, somebody that I know and I can trust to come in and do a spot start, whatever, in this offense, but somebody that is not going to have a team. Right? If you trade for Justin Fields, there's going to be a team Russ and a team Fields, and they're just going to be warring all season.
I love our chat that's attacking the Cleveland Browns and talking trash. That's what we do.
Keep it coming.
Baby.
Keep it coming.
I love the way they're talking to you, Brad.
I love the way they're talking to you, Cleveland. Yes, sir. Browns suck.
That's the Browns.
But you know what doesn't suck, Mr.
What doesn't suck?
Our friends at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. And use our code, CLNS, for a first deposit match up to $100 today. You can also download the Prize Picks app and use that same code, CLNS, for that same $100 deposit bonus. Then we go, goodness gracious, Coop. All right, football season may be over, but the action on the floor is just heating up when it comes to March Madness and the NBA playoff hunt. Whether it's tournament season or the fight for playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of the year. Get in on the excitement with our friends at Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. How does it work, you ask? Well, here's how you play. Pick 2 to 6 players, and if they'll go for more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can even win up to 25 times your money on any entry. Here's my entry for tonight's NBA matchup. I'm going to take the more on Wemby's 14.5 rebounds plus assists. I mean, it's Wemby, man. He's slender, man. He's going to get more than 14 rebounds tonight. Come on. Okay. But then we got the more on Nikola Jokic's points. Unbelievable MVP candidate type player. He's going to get more than 25 tonight. Then I'll go with the less on Bam Adebayo from the Miami Heat for tonight's matchup. For points, you can download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. With Prize Picks, it takes less than 60 seconds to make your picks. So get started right now. Again, download the PrizePicks app today, or you can go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. Pick more or pick less. It's that easy with our friends at PrizePicks. We got a $5 super chat here from Mikey Fig, and he says, think we flip one of the thirds for Fields or draft a Jordan Travis to set and learn. Also, we got to sign a center like B. Allen or Connor Williams. And I would throw it Evan Brown there as well.
I like Evan Brown, yep.
I like Connor Williams. He was the #1 graded center in football last year.
Will he be healthy by the start of the season?
That's the question, man, and that's probably why you still draft a center, even if you get Connor Williams, which is why I'm like 99.9% sure they're going to draft a center of some sort this year. Don't know when, don't know who it's going to be, but they're going to draft a center, guys. And then when it comes to, I don't think Fields is worth a third-round pick. I think that if
I don't think so either.
I think if the Bears got a third-round pick, if someone offered that,
he would already be on another team.
He would already be on another team, and nobody's willing to offer that. I mean, the report came out the other day that people see him in the same light as Sam Darnold and Drew Lock. And with guys like Darnold and Locke, you don't have to give up draft capital for them. You can just sign them in free agency. Yeah. So why would I expend capital and maybe even pick up his fifth-year option that kicks in for like $28 million next year, which you probably don't want at this point in his career? So third-round pick, no way, especially for a backup quarterback. This team is, I mean, especially if they don't make moves in free agency and they need a starting left tackle or right tackle, they need a starting center, they need a wide receiver, they need, whatever else that they need heading into the year. It doesn't make sense to give up a day 2 draft pick for Justin Fields, who is not your long-term answer at quarterback, because Russell Wilson, I think, still has, at least from the Pittsburgh Steelers perspective, 5 to 7 more good years here in the National Football League.
Yeah, I think so too. Even if it's 3, I'm not giving up that kind of for Justin Fields. I think the earliest pick,
fifth round.
Absolute earliest.
Absolute earliest is a 5th round pick, Mikey, because he's a backup. No one else wants him. I don't think if they bring him in, I think they're just going to see him as like a 1-year rental as a backup.
Because they're not picking up the 5th year.
Because they're not going to pick up the 5th year. And if Russell Wilson plays well, which I think he will, he's going to get extended, and Russell Wilson or Justin Fields won't even be on the team in 2025. So that's where I'm at. I'm cool with taking Jordan Travis in like the 5th round or 6th round as well. Sure. So spend that 5th or 6th round pick getting a quarterback to back you up, or just go out and get Ryan Tannehill, and you can use that pick on something else. First time super chatter for Lil Yaya. Give him some Ric Flair drip. Woo! And he says all the doubters will eat their words. Like Brad. That's absolutely correct. One thing he is right about, though, is that I absolutely have a unibrow.
Yeah, I guess
I have, like, it's weird because it overgrows on one side and then one side it really doesn't.
Yeah.
So, like.
That's interesting.
If you want. Sure. I have a unibrow. Your team is still literal dog shit, okay?
How about this? Here's some QB news. The Rams have agreed to terms with quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo on a 1-year contract.
And that actually makes sense to me because, Shanny and McVay are boys. It's a very similar offense. It's a lot of throwing over the middle. If Stafford, God forbid, gets hurt again, Garoppolo's a guy that can keep the team afloat, but
he can keep it afloat. It's
not going to be, like, great.
He was awful.
He'll actually be better in that offense as a starter than he was as a starter last year for the Raiders. He was, I know that he was McDaniels' boy, but man, he was not really a good fit for that offense.
You think he fits better in the Rams offense?
Oh yeah, no question. And he's got Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua to throw to over the middle. I think that's a pretty good fit for Garoppolo. And honestly, man, I'm a little bit surprised Garoppolo got signed before Tannehill.
Me too.
But I think he might be a little bit younger still. I'm not 100% sure on that, but $2 super chat. Oh, never mind. Sorry, that was still Lil Yaya.
We're all caught up.
David Bauer says Jimmy G-string. We know he likes his G-strings, man.
Yeah, Jimmy G's got some weird stuff going on.
Didn't he? He took a porn star out, didn't he?
He did.
One time.
He did.
Unbelievable. It's the starting quarterback of a football team. What are we doing, Jimmy? Come on. You think you're not going to get caught?
GQ, man.
In today's day and age, are you kidding me, man? Kurgan Cold says you guys are freaking great.
No, you are, Kurgan.
Kurgan, you're a black diamond, man. You are Steelers dog legend. All right, I appreciate the hell out of you, Kurgan. Oh, what do you say?
Colton says people don't understand. He requested a trade. We didn't just trade him. He absolutely requested a trade.
Absolutely.
And so they obliged by his wishes.
And I still stand by what I said when we signed Russ, which was that the Steelers wanted Kenny Pickett still.
I think they did want to keep him.
I still think the Steelers kind of like Kenny Pickett's game, and they were willing to leave the door open for this season if Russell Wilson was bad. And I just think that if Russell Wilson was bad, no playoff contention, whatever, you throw Kenny Pickett in there the last few games of the year, and you see if he has anything in Arthur Smith's offense to really make it work long term. And that was the plan until Kenny Pickett was like, man, you guys are just going to start Russ. I want out. And I don't think that's a good decision by Pickett because I think he would have had a better chance to play here than in Philly.
Yeah, he probably would have.
So
I think what happened was he requested the trade, and then they just traded him to wherever they found the best deal.
Producer Sam, how we doing, my friend?
What's up, Sam Brown? What's up, brother?
We're just hanging out. Me too, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, you already moved it in here?
I haven't.
No,
Oh.
But yeah,
Just whenever you get to it.
we will.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
We can push it. No problem. Shout out to Sam Brown.
Sam Brown, executive producer extraordinaire. He loves Russell Wilson.
By the way, Broncos fan. Here we go. Steelers. There we go. We appreciate you, Sammy. Thank you for Russell Wilson, and thanks for paying the bill, by the way.
We love it.
You got something to say? Coops, he's got something to say here,
Sam
folks.
has
Hold
words
up.
to say.
Hey, Steelers fans, can we get Sperry to stop mocking Bo Nix to the Broncos already? It's fucking awful.
It's going to happen.
Bo Nix is a Denver Bronco.
By the way, week one, Monday Night Football, it's going to be Russell Wilson versus Bo Nix, and we're going to win by 30.
Like I said,
Sam's back again.
we all know how this is going to play out. It's going to be Broncos Steelers in Denver, Monday Night Football.
Yes.
The exact same scenario is going to play out from game one last year. I'm saying down to the score. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, Russell Wilson will get the ball with a chance to win the game. Rather than kicking a 64-yard field goal, they're actually going to go for it on 4th and 5 and not be a bunch of fucking losers. They're going to get the 4th down. They're going to wind up scoring a touchdown. They're going to beat the Broncos. The tweets write themselves.
Because we got Russell Wilson.
Big media is going to have a fucking field day.
Yes, they are, because we got Russell Wilson.
Let's go, baby.
And you're going to have Bo Nix. Let's go.
Let's go.
Everybody shout out Sam in the
Sam
chat.
Brown.
I like this one here. Frogger, New York City asks, how do you feel about Isaiah Simmons?
You like him.
I like him if you get him on like the vet minimum, oh my gosh, that's a versatile chess piece. That was a former top 10 pick. You can put him in the nickel if you want. I like that move. Now, obviously, you have to take care of center. You need to take care of offensive tackle. You need to take care of the other cornerback spot. Those are higher priorities. But if you could get Isaiah Simmons on like a $1.2 million contract, same price as Russell Wilson, by the way. My goodness. All right, so $10 super chat.
Maryland.
From Marilyn Krager. $10 super chat. Says, I'm feeling good about next season. As someone said earlier, stairway to
Let's
7.
go, baby.
I love that.
Number 7 coming to Pittsburgh.
And
Let's
you know
go,
what?
Don Khan.
By the way, if all Russell Wilson has to do is win one Super Bowl here, and he will be a Steelers legend.
Legend for life.
He'll be a legend for life.
No doubt.
He won't get a statue like maybe Big Ben will. But
Here's a different angle on the Justin Fields thing. Owen is asking, wasn't year before, but what are the odds of us getting Justin Fields? If I had to, is 20% too high?
30% even?
Yeah, I think that's the range.
Because here's the thing. I do think, we know how the Steelers feel about competition. Okay, they want competition in the room, every single position group. All right, and if you're trying to make this the most talented group you can possibly make it, I think the number one guy that you can add is Justin Fields. But, I don't know, because you got Ryan Tannehill, who you already know can operate this offense. I think Arthur Smith would rather get Ryan Tannehill, and I think his voice is going to speak volumes here. I know Tannehill's getting older and all these different things, but if you get Justin Fields, you will have a full-on war between the fans as to who should be the long-term answer at quarterback.
And do we need that?
We do not.
We do not.
We just got done with that. Okay, we just got done with the Kenny Pickett crowd versus the non-Kenny Pickett crowd. Now we're going to shift from Russell Wilson to Justin Fields in the same offseason? I mean, do we really want to do this again?
Steelers freak, I'm dead. He says the next Steeler power move this offseason will be Joey Porter Jr. stealing Taylor Swift from Travis Kelce. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, what's that guy's name?
The Steelers freak.
Steelers freak. That's
awesome.
That is a good one.
That's a winner. Did they announce Patrick Queen's number? They did. He's going to be wearing number 6, Colton.
Number 6. Art Rooney gave him the 6. Can you believe it?
Number 6.
He's going to look sick in that, man.
I mean, look at this edit. Look how fresh this freaking looks, dude.
Looks good, man. Somebody's asking for my opinion on Tyler Boyd. I like him, all right? He's not a number 1 or a number 2 option in this league, but he's big, okay? He can run block. He's still a savvy route runner, okay? Like, you don't have to be fast to be a good, crafty route runner and get open in the league. All right, Allen Robinson, before like he all of a sudden couldn't get out of his breaks and couldn't get open, was a really good route runner, and he was really never all that fast. Michael Thomas was arguably the most dominant receiver for a year or two there. He ran like almost a 4.7, I think. So, like, Tyler Boyd, I think, fits what they want to do at the position. And he's probably going to come at a cheaper price.
I think it's all about the money with Boyd because I think he's still holding out for some more money than probably the Steelers want to give him.
Then again, Coop, he is a Pittsburgh native. He has said he wants to play for the Steelers at some point in his career. He's already 29, and like this team is ready to win now. So this might be his best and maybe even final chance in his career to play for not only his hometown team, but to help his hometown team win a championship.
Yeah.
And there's no better time than the present.
No better time than the present for Tyler Boyd to come home, man, and go and help us go.
And by the way, like if the Jets, for example, are offering you like a $6 million contract and the Steelers are offering you a $3 million contract, you've already made a lot of money, man. Like, what's more important to you, that extra $3 million or like being a part of something truly special in your home city?
Exactly.
I feel like he would still, I think that he would pick the Steelers if the figures were the same for sure. But even if the figures for Pittsburgh is a little bit less.
I hope so, man.
I think he would pick Pittsburgh. Now, I will say, I do like Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds is kind of built in the same kind of vein.
He's been pretty consistent over the last few years.
He's a bit faster than Tyler Boyd. He's still big, so he can still run block. He has versatility in the slot. I wouldn't mind Josh Reynolds at all. So if you're not a Tyler Boyd fan, watch out for Josh Reynolds. But, you know, not only do I think Tyler Boyd would be an effective number 3 receiver and kind of be for this offense what we were kind of hoping Allen Robinson was going to be, but wasn't last year. I got to say it, man. I'm not going to lie. I want it to happen because of the storyline.
The storyline would just be awesome, dude.
The
prodigal son comes home.
Like, I mean, it's not even a prodigal son. Well, I mean, kind of, because he went to a division rival.
Exactly.
So he'd be coming back, and like outside of Russell Wilson, like for me, the biggest storyline is going to be Tyler Boyd is coming home to try to win a championship for his hometown team, and he's going to be a fan favorite.
Absolutely.
I mean, like if he signs here, you have any idea how many 83? Well, I don't think anybody has 83 on the Steelers right now. Am I wrong on that?
Connor Hayward, right?
No, he's not 83.
I think he is.
Is Connor Hayward 83? He might have to be. Yeah, I think he is actually. He is actually, yeah. So he'd have to buy it from Hayward, but I think he would allow him to get it. Hayward. You know, like.
Hot Rod's in the chat as well. Hot Rod says, I think it's crazy I slept in today. Wake up when we trade Pickett. Hot Rod, how late did you sleep, man? The trade happened at like 2 p.m. Were you sleeping? Are you nocturnal?
Are you working until like 4 in the morning or something, brother? Like, I mean, I guess maybe he's at like the graveyard shift or something, but.
Very possible.
Mile High says, trade Russell Wilson. Yeah, it's not happening, pal. I'm sorry.
Sorry, my friend there.
There's a quarterback that got dealt today, and his name is not Russell Wilson. So
no, it was not.
And right now, man, like Omar Khan has said, he wants to go into camp next year with 4 quarterbacks. I have a feeling Sam Hartman is going to be a Steeler. No, but as an undrafted free agent. It's going to be like Tanner Morgan last year.
Sam Hartman stinks.
He's going to be the 4th quarterback option. He's going to throw like 7 picks in the preseason, and he's going to be gone.
David Bauer says he needs a shirt like I have on. Jordan, baby.
It's a pretty cool shirt, man. I'm not gonna lie. You definitely have me beat today. I just got the plain brown shirt on today, but I got the gold chain though.
Yeah,
you know, I probably have the drip game.
Dripped out. Yeah,
you know, I got the gold watch on too. So you know, I think
I'm not a watch guy, but you know, I got a little bracelet.
I'm definitely beating you out today in terms of the drip, but you got me on the shirt today, no question about it. All right, man. We haven't gotten a super chat in a while, so if we don't get one,
call it next couple minutes until it hits 4:20.
We'll get
Very nice.
Well, okay, we'll put on a 5-minute shot clock here. Keep sending your questions in. We'll talk Steelers for the next 5 or so minutes. But if we can get to $300, okay, so we're just over $50 away right now. So we're $57 away from 300. We'll stay on another 10 minutes.
Yes.
Fair deal?
Fair deal.
Okay, $5 super chat. First one coming in here from Steve Young. Says, I appreciate you guys. You don't know who Slash is.
The guitarist.
Oh, that's what he meant?
From Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, he's from Guns N' Roses.
I know who Slash is.
He was performing at the Grammys the other night.
Let me go reread your super chat, Mr. Steve. I need to go find it now. Is it this one? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Bring in Justin Fields to be another Slash? Are you talking about the guitarist or are you talking about a Steelers player? Let us know, Steve. Because I know who Slash the guitarist is. I don't know, man.
I don't know. It might be just a.
It might be just be slipping. I have no idea.
No, it might be a generational gap here.
Oh, Slash's Cordell Stewart.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that. That's on me.
I actually did know that. So fuck me because I did.
That's F. Sperry.
I did know that he. And by the way, Justin Fields, I think is way more athletic than Cordell Stewart ever was.
Oh yeah, Cordell Stewart was a pocket passer.
So he was athletic, but he wasn't Justin Fields running for over 1,200 yards in a season.
Mile high. Aaron Donald did retire. Yes, that was the surprise of the day so far. Is Aaron Donald calling it quits?
Yeah, I honestly, man, Steve, I think that's probably just the generational divide there.
Cordell Stewart was playing quarterback when I was
he was not playing quarterback until after or before I was born.
Before Ben.
Yeah, he was way before Ben.
Yeah,
so that's probably just a generational divide there, Steve.
For context, Steve, I was born in 96. I think Sperry was born in 2000.
1998.
98, excuse me.
Yeah.
Barely saw Cordell play.
So if anybody's got questions, Kurgan Cold says, Boyd, great possession receiver. Absolutely agree.
Oh, yeah. I think so, too.
You know, and here's the thing, man. He's definitely not fast. He's not a burner, but you don't have to be necessarily run in the 4.4s to be a good receiver in the league or to fill out a specific role in an offense. All right. I think some people just look at the 40 time and are like, this guy can't play football because he doesn't fit a certain speed threshold that I have. But it's like he's a bigger receiver. So, of course, he's not going to be as fast as some of these lighter guys out there. And also you're not asking him to be your number 1 or even your number 2 receiver. They're going to be drafting their number 2 receiver in the draft this year. Ideally. All right. Well, I'm giving Omar the benefit of the doubt here, man.
100%.
Omar has been
he's earned that.
Omar's been unbelievable ever since he's taken over. He got a great deal for Pickett, in my opinion. He didn't get the best deal for Deontay, if we're being honest, but I like Dante Jackson and his fit here in Carolina. Probably could have had him in free agency because Carolina was about to cut him. And by the way, here's another thing. Look up L'Jarius Sneed's Twitter right now.
Oh, boy.
And look who he retweeted this morning.
Alex Manifield gave us a good idea. Maybe that we could do this as a segment at some point, Spare Dog. He said, stat predictions for the new Steelers.
We'll probably get into that when we get into the dog days of July and June.
Oh, L'Jarius.
Make the social. Or can we even make it?
No, you can't do that. But.
So we'll just say it. L'Jarius Sneed retweeted Russell Wilson's tweet today, guys.
He's a Steeler.
He might be a Steeler. And then move Dante to the slot. I know he hasn't played there before, but he's a smaller guy. He's fast. He's shifty. And he'd be a really good blitzer from the slot, in my opinion. He's very aggressive, very physical.
Cool.
I would like to see the Steelers try out Dante Jackson in the slot. And then if you get L'Jarius Sneed. That's a really freaking good corner group.
That would be sick, man. Mikey Fig, what QB should the Steelers take in the draft? Or should they take a QB in the draft?
I have a feeling they're going to take one.
Who do you think?
And I think it's going to be later in the draft.
Michael Pratt?
Michael Pratt's an option.
They won't go Rattler.
Jordan Travis is an option.
They won't go Rattler.
Unless they really start filling up these needs that they need to address, center, offensive tackle, wide receiver, could use another inside linebacker, could use more defensive line depth, right? There's some things that they really need to address. And Rattler, you're going to, at the very latest, third round.
Yeah.
Very latest, third round is when he's going. So, the thing is, too, I think the Steelers believe Russell Wilson is their quarterback for the next 5 years.
Probably, yeah.
They're not 100% sure of that, which is why they have him on a 1-year contract. But I don't think they're going to spend too high of a draft pick on a quarterback. They might spend one. If Rattler's there in the third, they may pull the trigger. If Michael Penix Jr. is there in round 2, they might pull the trigger. I doubt he makes it that far. But if he is there, they might pull the trigger. And then Michael Pratt in like 4th or 5th, same thing with Jordan Travis. It's probably their plan. And then they'll probably get like Sam Hartman or some bullshit as an undrafted free agent. And they'll stink.
F. Sam Hartman.
I don't know about F. Sam Hartman.
No,
I'm sure he's a good guy, but he is not an NFL quarterback by any stretch of the imagination, man. Hot Piss. Gotta love the name, man. Says, it's a sad day to be a Steelers fan. Justice for KP.
Thing is, Kenny Pickett asked to be out. He didn't want to be a Steeler anymore.
If anything, the Steelers granting his request.
Yeah. Steelers did right by him, obviously. He wanted out, so they sent him away.
And with respect to you, Hot Piss, if this is your opinion, that's fine. But, this is a business.
Yeah.
It's a results-based business. And you can certainly say that Kenny Pickett got shafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers for pairing him up with a terrible offensive coordinator in Matt Canada. That's certainly the case. But, you have a team that's ready to win now. Omar Khan has said it.
Exactly.
We're trying to win now. We're trying to win Super Bowls next year. Art Rooney has said, we're tired of losing games in the playoffs. And, to gamble your entire season next year on Kenny Pickett, who, like I said, was shafted by this team and the situation they put him in, but, there's no guarantee. In fact, there's far from a guarantee that he's even a decent NFL quarterback in Arthur Smith's offense. And even if he is a decent NFL quarterback, he's going to be a very inexperienced playoff quarterback.
No doubt.
And inexperienced playoff quarterbacks don't win championships. So, I don't think the Steelers did wrong by Kenny Pickett at all. Jerry Dulac last week was crying about Mason Rudolph getting shafted by the Steelers or whatever. Mason Rudolph would not be in the National Football League right now if it wasn't for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Nobody wanted him last year.
I'm about to freaking block Jerry Dulac on Twitter.
I can't because he gets all the major scoops that people that people talk about. So I have to discuss what he talks about. But he should have his card ripped away from him.
No doubt about it. All right.
And I've said this before, Coop. I think Jerry Dulac's source is Kevin Colbert, the former GM of the Steelers, who is not connected to the team and what they're planning on doing whatsoever. Because Omar Khan is completely different from Kevin, stylistically as a GM. All right, man. So
we got to run here, Spare Dog.
We got to get going. I'm actually going to be putting up my first official NFL mock draft for the NFL. Full first round. It's going to be on the Chat Sports main YouTube channel here. Probably about an hour, maybe an hour and a half tops. So if you guys want to check that out, I'm going to put that on there. If they sign Tyler Boyd, we'll probably go live again tonight.
We'll see on that.
If they trade for Justin Fields, we're definitely going live.
I'm planning on consuming a lot of alcohol tonight, so we'll see.
Well, if Justin Fields gets traded,
someone else is going.
Somebody get in here because we're going live on Steelers Talk. We appreciate the hell out of you guys.
Happy Friday. Hope everyone has a great weekend.
By the way, we've been live for how long, Coop?
We have been live for 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 20 seconds.
Still got about 700 people in the chat right now.
The real ones.
We've got the best community on YouTube for the Pittsburgh Steelers here. You guys are the real ones. For everybody that stuck around with us here today, we appreciate the heck out of you. We'll see you guys later, maybe even later today. Until next time.